Hello, friends, and welcome to the Limitless Podcast. This is Deanna Herron, your host. Welcome back. I'm so honored to be with you. If you are new to this podcast, hello. I'm glad that you are here. And this podcast is all about women. Now, for those men who are listening to the podcast, you can pick up some great tips on this podcast as well. But I speak to female entrepreneurs as they're navigating their journey to building their business and to the freedom that they really desire. Along that journey, we know that you're going to bump up against some belief systems about yourself, about your money, and about your potential. And that's where I come in. And your ability to really address those beliefs will either propel you forward or they're going to keep you stuck. And I'm talking about inner work. I'm not talking about affirmations. I'm like talking about really getting on the inside. And what are those stories that you are telling yourself over and over and over? In this podcast, I will give you tips, I will give you strategy and ideas, but I'm always going to address the main issue. And the main issue that keeps us from being that greatest, highest version of ourselves is the beliefs that we have about ourselves that were probably formed in our childhood. So on today's podcast, I'm going to address one of the biggest fears that I see that holds women back. So a fear comes from a belief. They're the same thing. When we feel fearful about something, there's a belief that's playing in our subconscious mind. And that fear, the number one fear that I address with my clients that I see most is the fear of being seen or the fear of visibility. And we all know in today's world with social media, with Instagram, with Facebook, we build our businesses on a social media platform. And so visibility is important. So if you have a fear of being visible, it is actually something that needs to be worked through. One of my core wounds that I worked through many, many years ago was I am not seen. I'm not seen. That was something that kept playing over and over and over. I am not seen. And I started working on my subconscious that was playing in my subconscious. And once I became aware of it, then you become conscious of that thought. And now you can actually hear it play in different circumstances. The awareness is the first phase of the healing process. So mine was, I'm not seen. And I became aware when that was playing out. And I was able to reprogram that belief system. But I want you to understand, if you've been with me for a while, you understand that these belief systems will continue to come up. New level, new devil. So as you reach a higher next level in your life and in your business, you're going to peel back even more layers. So sometimes those old core wounds will begin to show up again, but they're going to begin to show up in a very different and unique way. So let me explain it to you, because when I say that my core wound has reappeared, I want you to understand that it's in a completely different, unique level. When you first start doing the inner work, and we're going to get into visibility in just a second, but I want you to understand how this work really unfolds. When you first begin to do this inner work, and I'm not talking affirmations. Remember, affirmations are just saying something and it's throwing, I am enough, I am beautiful. It's just throwing that into the wind when really, if one of your core wounds is I am not seen, saying I am enough is not going to address that core wound. You actually have to know what it is that you say under your breath. When you first become aware from doing this work, you will recognize where the actual story came from, likely from your childhood. Okay, between the ages of 0-7 is typically when we develop these belief systems. And when we talk about visibility and fear of being seen, I'm just not seen, those core wounds typically come from our childhood when we were criticized for some reason, or we grew up really fast. And, Maybe your parents got divorced and you took a back seat as they were going through that process. Maybe you had a teacher that forgot to acknowledge you in class when you did such a did really an excellent job on this project. You spent many hours and the teacher forgot to acknowledge you. Maybe you worked really hard cleaning the house for your mom and she came home and she criticized your work. Our hearts get wounded. We stop fully showing up, standing up for ourselves because we fear judgment and criticism. So we are not seen. And the truth is, my friend, is that we are afraid to actually see ourselves. We're afraid to see ourselves. So that's how the belief forms. And what I'm talking about here is I'm not denying what happened to you. That's not what we are addressing here. We are addressing what happened within you. When we say what happened to me, this happened to me, we are actually in victim mentality. All of us start the healing process from victim mentality. It's very normal. So if you're like, but she did that to me and she really hurt me. Yes, I get it. I get it. But the evolution is actually moving away from the victim mentality more to what happened in me and then on to, wow, what am I learning from this belief system? So that's the evolution. That's where we're moving in this work. So the victim mentality, I want you to understand when you look at emotional energy, so it's the energy that you exude into the world, it comes from our emotions. When you're in that victim mentality, you have very low level energy, along with things like depression, feeling despair. Victim mentality is down in that range. And as you move from being the victim to seeing and recreating your story to your truth, because these things that we believe about ourselves, we chose to believe I am not seen. We chose that because you could put the same person in the same, a different person in the same situation and they decide a different story. But we have to decide to believe that because it really is not true. Circumstances happened, yes, but the story that we decided was something that we decided on our own, and we can change it. That's why that piece is so important. It can be changed. It can be reprogrammed, and you can go into a place where you recognize, yes, I am a big piece of this puzzle called the world. I am a big piece of the divine. And I have a purpose, I have a calling, I'm important, and my message needs to be heard. You can go into that place. You may need to reprogram that I'm not seen or I'm afraid to be seen, whatever that is. So victim mentality, bringing you to another place, eventually up the ladder to where you can see when that thought comes up, you recognize, whew, something is shifting. I'm excited for this. God is telling me this is ready to be healed. It's ready to be healed. So I want to share something with you about the visibility piece. The visibility piece is actually very interesting. Because something happened to us, we decided a story about ourselves and we allowed ourselves to take a back seat. We allowed ourselves to sit on the bench. We allowed ourselves to be skipped over in class because we were afraid to really stand out and we were afraid to really be criticized because we've experienced that pain before and that wound is still in our heart. And as we grow up as adults, that little girl who was criticized still lives within us. And so we have to heal that piece of us. And so the evolution is bringing you up to a point of empowerment where you can say, wow, this is coming up again. It's a very unique and different way. I've done this before. I know this is for my evolution and growth. Bring it on. So you change it from the victim mentality to I'm empowered. Here we go. I'm ready for growth. So it's a very cool process that I see with my clients. And so many aha moments are like, wow, I've been living in this space where I was afraid to be seen, but now I have that inner confidence within me and I'm not afraid to show myself in the world. I'm not afraid to put myself out there because there's a point where we all learn that we're not here to be seen by everyone. We're not here to be seen by everyone. We're here to be seen by the right ones who are an energetic match for us in the work that we do. The right ones, my friend. And so if you're trying to get everyone else's attention on social media and you're looking at your likes and comments and it's not showing up, that is going to really tell that old story. Yep, that's true. I'm not seen. It's true. I'm not seen. But once you heal that within you, you can start to realize, you know what, that's not the truth. People are watching and it's the right people that I'm looking for. It's definitely the right people. So what we're doing in this work is we're actually changing the pattern. We're here to break patterns. We're here to break generational patterns. Some of our beliefs and our fears have come from generations, many generations before us. And we are the ones that are called to heal this. And so breaking those patterns are what are the most important. So we have a pattern of those thoughts of being unseen. And it's really, again, it's not because others aren't seeing you. It's because you're not letting people see you. And if that doesn't touch your heart, that touches my heart in so many ways. I was hiding. I was sitting on the bench. I was putting myself in a corner because I was afraid to step out and get my heart wounded from criticism. And the reality is, that criticism can only touch your heart if you allow it. If you believe who you really are, infinite possibilities, you are limitless. You have the DNA of the divine within you. That's who you are. There's a purpose and a plan for your life. And all you have to do is continue to step into this journey of entrepreneurship. And you may pivot here and there, follow those pivots, and eventually that is going to show up. So there are so many people who will say, when I find my purpose, then I'm going to take a step. But that's backwards. It's you have to take the steps and then the purpose will show up. When I began my journey from writing my book, I thought I was going to go in a completely different direction than where I am today. But it was through taking those courageous steps one by one where I'm laser focused on why I'm here. And it's really to help women change those belief systems, changing those belief systems. So those patterns are what we are breaking. It's those patterns. And once you see the pattern, once you recognize the pattern and you learn to accept that pattern of, man, I've lived my life believing I'm not seen, recognizing it, accepting it, then it can be healed and it can leave. Okay. And that's the most important thing. It may show up later on your journey, but the amazing thing is you're like, oh yeah, I've seen you. I know you. Let's do this thing. I'm ready. This is for my highest good. So let's do this. I know this isn't truth. I'm glad, truthful. I'm glad you're showing up again in a very unique and different way. And so now I'm ready to tackle this head on. So it's very different as you grow through the process than what it is in the beginning. So many people are like, how do I address this? How do I change this? What is the journey? I just explained to you what the journey is, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. I'm not saying it's not still hurtful or painful. Sometimes it is, but you will have the tools to address any fear or pattern that pops up in your life. So, I just want you to understand that anything that feels scary on the outside to you, it also feels super scary on the inside. So there's that little girl inside you that remembers how it felt. And so just relating to that inner child and the fear you have inside your body and allowing it, just giving it a little love and a little bit of acceptance There's nothing wrong with you. So sometimes we want to feel shame and guilt that we're having these feelings, these fears. It is part of the evolution of you. It is part of the evolution of all of us. The reality is most people aren't willing to do the work. Most people aren't willing to do the work. But if you're willing to do the work, it will impact you, your business, your family, and generations to come. Generations to come. It is your time to decide to receive things that will see you. It's time for you to bring coworkers and partners and a career that sees you so that you stop living in the pattern that stops you from being seen. Stop the pattern that keeps you from being seen. It's time, my friend. It's time to step up and stop choosing the people that don't see you and avoiding the ones that do. It's time. There is a deep-rooted belief, a deep-rooted desire for you to be seen. I know you're experiencing that. Like, can you just see me? It's like, imagine that little girl inside you going, can you see me? Like, just see me, listen to me. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I would love to have. This is what I want. Can you see me? There's that deep desire within each of us. And you deserve to be seen, heard, held. So let go of the energies that don't see you. Let go of those energies. Begin to do the inner work. What is it that frightens you about your business? Sit down and journal that. What is it that frightens you about your business? And if you look at it and you say, I had some team members that really hurt me, and now I'm afraid to put myself out there. That happens a lot. Or in my business, I put up a post and, some bully put something on there. Now I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid to speak in public because when I was in college, I did public speaking and I got berated by my teacher. Whatever that is, sit down and journal what parts of you are afraid to be seen. Ask yourself, where did those come from? Where did I learn that it was okay for me not to be seen? What did I experience that hurt my heart so much that now I'm afraid to put myself out there? And then we walk through the story, eventually walk through the forgiveness, rewire the subconscious mind, and step into your full visibility. That's the process. Journal those out. Journal those out. And if you want more help, my Becoming Limitless program is always available to you. That's where we do a lot of inner work together. And the women within that group are actually healing each other. It's not me doing the work, it's me guiding you and you doing the work to heal yourself. Together we rise. And I would love to see you out there doing your thing, my friend, because we all need what you have to offer. God bless you. See you next week.